Salam, Bulla, and g'day. Michael Gallis on A1 TV, Healthy Living. Magic Mondays back again, and what a guest we have for you today. Stay tuned to your TV, stay tuned to your Facebook, because this lady is the most positive lady that I've ever met in my life. And when you hear her story of how she came from America to Australia and yet still remains the most positive lady that I've ever met, is quite extraordinary. And you're very privileged, and we're very honoured to have Kayla McCord here with us today. And have, especially in these lockdown, challenging coronavirus times, I thought it'd be great if we could bring her story to you, into your houses, into your living rooms, into your Facebook live feeds, and to hear how she has coped and what strategies she's used to get to where she has in her life, but also to help us in relation to the challenges we're facing with this corona lockdown in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, and around the world. Kayla, firstly, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Michael, for having me. It's such an honor.
And you can see that we're in Melbourne at the moment. I'm pretty cold. I've got the beanie on. We've got a cold snap coming up from the Antarctic. Kayla's got her woolly jumper on there, but in the background, because her husband's from Cairns, and Kayla loves the heat and the beach, she's got the heater cranked up, haven't you, Kayla?
Oh, yes, and the fireplace.
You got it all happening. You've got it all happening. Now, Kayla, to introduce you, you are a self-love guide. You're an educator of essential oils. You're a mother, inspirational speaker, a former Nike model, so that'll be an interesting story we look forward to hearing about, and also a yoga teacher. So, like myself, you don't sit still, do you?
No, I don't. Always moving.
And that's really important, isn't it? Can you just take us through what you're doing with your coaching at the moment to help people to get through this really challenging time with lockdowns and restrictions? How are you maintaining people's positivity?
Well, the biggest thing right now, the biggest worry with the coronavirus is really everyone's mental health. And that has definitely taken a deep end right now. So what I'm focusing on is the language that we speak to ourselves, making sure that we are not being hard on ourselves with everything going on, and just being really aware of the thoughts that we have and the way that they impact our life. So when you have a negative thought, I usually break down each thought that each person has, and we discover where those thoughts came from. Usually it's from childhood, the things that we've been telling ourselves for so long, but we don't even know why or where it comes from, and we believe these thoughts. So I help people to rewire the language that they speak to themselves by changing the thoughts that they're having and turning them into more positive, backing it up with evidence for why this is their new truth. And it takes time, but if we do this work every single day, then you will be able to change the language that you speak to yourself to be more positive and to be able to find a bright light when you're just being surrounded by darkness, especially with everything going on right now.
And can you give us some examples of some of the negativity in the language that you are working with people to change?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people will tell themselves that they are not enough, or that they are stupid, or they'll hate their body, and they'll have a million reasons why they hate their body. So what we do is we come up with the reasons why they are enough, and we focus each day on learning to love their bodies instead of hating it, because the automatic response when you ask someone, what do you love about yourself, usually people feel weird or uncomfortable about that question. But if I were to ask them, what do you hate about yourself, they could come up with a whole book full of reasons that they hate themselves. So the first step is tuning the language that they speak to themselves. Then we go into self-care, making sure that they are really taking care of their mind, their body, their soul. There's a lot of different things that we're focusing on that also have to do with movement. Movement is everything, because if you wake up and you immediately go on your phone and you're reading the news, which is the big thing while we're in lockdown, is that everyone's going on their phone, and then they're overstimulated the moment they wake up, and then they're focused about all the bad things going on in the world. So what I have each person do is wake up with the world, Even if it's raining outside, I have them go outside and just acknowledge all the beauty that is out there in the world. Even if, you know, we're stuck in our houses, we can still look out the windows, right?
Yeah. So you're saying, so connecting back with nature is so important, and even if you cannot get outside, you can connect by looking out a window or going
Yeah.
out into your backyard or going into your front veranda. That's
Mhm.
at the basic level is still so important, isn't it? From what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, today I did I'm looking out the window right now, but today you know, movement, if you aren't someone who is a yoga teacher, of course, or has the experience of going to classes or gym, there's YouTube. I go on YouTube and I just type in home workouts. I did 3 home workouts in my bedroom today, and it can completely change your whole day when you just get a little bit of movement. I mean, even if you just turn on a song and you have a dance party. I mean, my family and I, we do that every single day. I have a little 10-month-old baby and he keeps me very active. But it's so important when you are a parent to make sure that you're getting that movement and that self-care. You can do it with them. Make it a party.
And you can have a dance party by yourself too, can't you? You don't have to connect with anyone. Put on your
No,
favourite songs, listen, dance, sing. I do a
yeah.
bit of singing in the shower, Kayla, because no one else will let
Oh,
me sing anywhere else around the house. And certainly aren't the best singer, but it makes me feel good. And that's what it's all
yeah.
about at the moment, isn't it?
Yes, yes. It's all about just doing those little things that can make such a big difference in your day. Especially when we're getting bored at home or we've watched so much Netflix. I mean, that's when it's really important to make sure. Last weekend I just did 2 days of no cell phone, not looking at social media, because that's another thing too. If you are on social media a lot, which is good to connect with people, but make sure that you're not um, following things that could trigger you or bring you down or make you feel worse by reading everything. That
And
makes sense.
are you still alive after 2 days without a cell phone and without
Oh
Netflix and without
yeah,
Facebook? You going
no,
all right?
I felt amazing. And it's so amazing when we can just disconnect. And normally my family and I would be hiking or traveling somewhere, connecting with Mother Earth. So to be able to do that same thing, you know, pretend you have no service for a few days, as long as you're doing healthy things that are good for you, because otherwise it's good for us to be connecting with people.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Facebook and social media, I think I caught you this morning doing a bit of hula hooping with your little baby as well. So even though we've got challenges with kids and work and everything going on, you've got to be creative in this coronavirus restriction times, don't you? You really got to pivot how you are thinking to ensure you keep doing different things.
I got a hula hoop for $20 on Amazon, and I had just gotten out of the shower, and I had a towel on my head still when that video started, and I just put my son in his little jumper thing, and I hula hooped and danced, and then I picked him up and let him dance with me and did a little workout with him. Just doing anything that you can to make sure that you're moving your body. I mean, if you could move your body every single day for at least just 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes would be amazing. But if you only have time to do it 10 minutes at a time throughout the day, that would be, I mean, dancing, hula hooping, yoga, Pilates. There's lots of free stuff out there. You just have to go and find it.
Michael Gallis on Magic Monday, A1 TV, Healthy Living, and no better person to speak to about healthy living than our special guest from Melbourne, Australia, Kayla McCord, the most positive person I know. And those of you that know me know I know a lot of people around Australia, across the world, in Fiji, and also across Pakistan. And this lady, when she speaks, I listen, and we're very honoured and privileged to have her on tonight on Monday night TV, A1 TV, Kayla. And it's take us back to your journey. You grew up in Portland, Oregon, and now you're in Melbourne, Australia. Um,
Yeah.
Take us back to your childhood in Portland. Were you always in touch with yourself, with
No,
Mother Earth, with the positivity you have today?
No, I was always the girl that had a smile on my face, but inside I really struggled. And as a child, this everything that I teach is from 8 years of going on the journey of healing myself and the journey of self-love. So everything that I teach is what I learned through my journey of being able to come up with these tools, but it took a long time. So as a child, I had depression, and I was only 8 years old when I first started telling myself that I hated myself, and that I was fat. I really, really didn't want to be here because I felt like I wasn't enough, and even though I had people around me that loved me, I was really struggling because I was in my head a lot with a lot of dark thoughts.
Yeah.
So when I went into high school, it got worse, and I was really, really unkind to myself. Now nobody knew this because I was always the happy girl, the girl that was always smiling. But I had attempted suicide multiple times since I was a child, and in high school it was a lot worse. I had an eating disorder, major anxiety. Doing something like this is not anything that I would ever think of doing because I was so afraid to speak my truth or share my voice. I had such a fear of being around people. I didn't have confidence. I was really insecure. So when I got into modeling, it was not good for my mental health because it was like no matter how skinny I got, it was never enough. And so I just kept losing weight. I had a bulimia, but before that I was anorexic. So I was not in a good place, and I knew that if I didn't do something to make some changes, then I was not going to be here. Because at the time when I was 18, I was in a verbally abusive relationship with a drug addict, and I was not in a good place at all. So where it changed is that I moved in with my grandparents.
Sorry to jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm currently reading Portia de Rossi's autobiography, and she had very similar eating disorders and anxiety and not feeling good enough about herself and her body. When you were a model with Nike in that industry, was that common, or did a lot you didn't? Now you're out of it. It was common, but when you were in it, were you aware of other people going through the same challenges you were?
Every girl that I modeled with was going through the same thing. I mean, my roommate, who is one of my best friends now, she is a really big model. She's an actress right now, and she always struggled with her body image too. So when we moved in together, was 2 years, three or 4 years ago, and that journey, I've been on it for 8 years, but it had a lot of roller coasters, ups and downs, with recovering and then falling back. But I noticed that every one of my friends that was a model was also really struggling with their body image, which was wild because they're the most beautiful girls that are in the magazines, and I mean literally in the magazines and on the runways, and they were also struggling with their bodies. So it was the realization of, well, if these girls are all struggling with their bodies too, who does love their body? I mean, if we're the ones that other girls probably look at us and, don't feel good about themselves, but we look at them and don't feel good about ourselves, then what's the answer? And that's where the answer is self-love.
Yeah. And that's why people, and I love connecting with you at any time via social media or giving you a call, because you're speaking from experience, and you are at the depths of the lowest you can be as a human, and yet you turn that around. And as you said, it took time. It took 8 years, and now you're sharing that story and helping others, which is so inspiring to me. I'm sure to all our viewers, that not only you got yourself right, you're able to share that with other people, and especially during these challenging times, we need people such as you to tell us, to help us, to encourage us to keep going and to stay mentally strong. And as you say, love yourself. I've been really inspired and surprised by everyone all around the world, the way that everyone has taken on board these new challenges and restrictions and how well everyone's going. And we don't hear that, Kayla, do we? We don't hear our world leaders saying, hey, well done, everyone out there. Great work. Well done. And every week I get on the show here, I tell people, and my guests tell people, really congratulate yourself on getting through another week. Magic Monday, another week you've got through, and you've been able to thrive and survive as well. And it's so important to hear positivity as well, Kayla, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, because we're in it right now. I mean, and we started this. I mean, this started in February, March. I mean, we're not meant to be locked down in our homes. We are animals. We're meant to, I mean, not animals, but we're meant to go explore the world and go out, be out in nature and be with Mother Earth and connect. I mean, I don't feel right when I'm not connecting with Mother Earth and walking barefoot outside and just listening to the birds and being with nature. It makes you feel a little cooped up for sure. And so it's all about finding different ways that we can celebrate. My husband and I, we bought a bunch of wigs, and
Yeah.
we have theme parties every weekend, just the two of us.
Yeah.
So we'll dress up in different outfits. I mean, we're doing anything to try and find some entertainment at home.
No, we're the same. You've got to try. You've got to really get motivated to get out of your pajamas, don't you? At times.
Yep, yep. Got to make sure you're still doing the regular things, waking up and waking up with the world, going outside, and then brushing your teeth and brushing your hair and taking a shower and doing those regular things, because it can be so easy to just sit on the couch and not do anything, but then you don't feel good.
Yeah, correct,
So
correct.
all
And
the little things.
you explained about movement and how we need to be out there with Earth, out there with other people. And you were talking about, amazingly, you were a model and 18, but really deep down inside, you're in the worst position ever.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of girls that are in modeling are it is I mean, no, I would leave and I would be, doing my job and go there feeling really good, but at the end of it I would be crying and feel that I needed to lose more weight, because if you don't feel enough, then nothing will ever feel enough, because no matter how much weight you're losing, no matter how much makeup you put on or dyeing your hair, doing all the things, it will never be enough if you aren't able to love yourself to the core and be kind to yourself through the process.
And how
But
did
it's a
you
daily
start to turn?
practice.
How did you start to turn that process around?
I moved in with my grandparents when I was 19, and through that time, 18, 19, I started partying a lot when I got out of that bad relationship. And but I moved in with my grandparents, and I was like, you know what? My grandparents are my best friend. I want them to be proud of me, and I need to start making decisions and doing things that are going to be good for me so I can be good for them. So I went to a yoga studio in Portland, and there was this amazing teacher there, and I was like, wow, she's so confident. I think I'm going to become a yoga teacher, because it will push me to do something that terrifies me, which is speaking in front of people.
Yeah.
So I went through the yoga teacher training, and through that, my yoga teacher said in a class, she said the words, "You are enough." And I went home and cried. I was like, what? No one has ever said that to me before. I've never heard that before, because people can tell you, I love you and you're beautiful, but for someone to tell you you're enough when you don't feel it,
Yeah.
that's where I looked at myself in the mirror and I decided, I don't believe what she said, but I'm going to start telling myself that, and maybe one day I'll believe it.
Yeah, 3 words, just 3 words. You are enough, and they're so powerful when they're said with passion and with love and with understanding, aren't they?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it's three words that we don't hear enough. I mean, people are saying it now. It's pretty popular on the internet. But when I first heard it, it wasn't self love wasn't blown up on Instagram and all the memes and stuff like that that you see now. I had never heard those words ever. So that was the first step in the right direction. And so that's where I went through my yoga teacher training and was forced, not forced, I chose to, but I had to speak in front of people even though it terrified me. So when you walk towards fear and do stuff that makes you nervous, it will give you more confidence, as you know.
Yeah, and yeah, well, I'm the same. I'd never, in my wildest dreams, think that I'm hosting a international TV show and interviewing people and thinking on the run to make the interview worthwhile and interesting to all our viewers on A1 TV and Facebook Live. And big shout out to everyone around the world, especially if you're in America, where Kayla's from, Portland, Oregon, and they're doing it pretty tough over there as well. And just keep doing what you're doing, believe in yourself, and as Kayla said, you are enough. If you can get that into your head, you can go through anything in life, can't you, Kayla?
Exactly. Yes, it's just all about what you tell yourself, because words are just words until you give them meaning. So I always say darkness is always there to take you on a ride, but it's about being stronger and not letting those negative thoughts overpower you, but challenging them. When you have a negative thought, question the thought. Where did it come from? Why am I telling myself this? Because oftentimes we just tell ourselves all of these negative things and we don't even realize how it's impacting our life.
And so from the yoga teacher, what an amazing lady. She must have really understood you, and to utter those 3 words, you are enough, to start you to believe in yourself.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, that moment, I'll never forget that moment. I went home and I just cried, because you can't see yourself the way others see you. So sometimes when we look at ourselves in the mirror, for myself, I could never see what other people could see. I could never truly see myself. So when she said those words and I said them to myself, that's when I started to be able to see myself for the first time and what I had done. So I'll say for all of you to come up with 3 affirmations to tell yourself. So mine was, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are enough. And those were the 3 affirmations I told myself every single day. So come up with your affirmations and write them down, put them on sticky notes in your bathroom, in your kitchen. I mean, when you wake up in the morning, wherever you can see them, because to make this work, you have to tell yourself what your positive thoughts are every single day. And with time, you will start to believe them, but you have to make them a ritual.
So an affirmation is a positive statement.
Positive statement, yes. And it can be anything. Anything that you need to tell yourself that will make you feel good. So it can be, you got this. It could be anything that's going to encourage you.
So
you are strong.
From the yoga teacher, from that moment, what happened next?
Yeah, so I became a yoga teacher, and then I was working at a job.
Make you feel? Sorry to jump in again. How did that make you feel when you were terrified to be in front of people, and yet here you are, yoga teacher, doing what frightened you the most?
I was terrified, but what got me through it was my incredible community. I had the most supportive people that I had never met before. I didn't know anyone there. Where I lived in Portland was more out in the country. So for me to actually wander to this yoga studio, my family was like, that's too far away. Where are you going? And so it was a really big move for me to even drive where I was going. And I just had the most supportive people that had my back and encouraged me and were there to tell me, you can do this, Kayla, you got this. And I remember standing there and I was just like, I couldn't even say the word stand still, like I was, or just stand up at the front of your mat. I was so afraid, but with time, I started to gain confidence. And so what changed was I got a new job in the city, which was even farther from my home. And I was working at one of the nicest restaurants in Portland as a hostess. And so I had to talk to people.
Yeah.
I was being challenged to have to talk to all sorts of people, and So putting myself in situations that made me nervous and conquering my fears is what started to make big changes.
And how did you, from the restaurant, working in the city, you're a yoga teacher, you're starting to feel more positive about yourself. How did you end up coming to Australia?
Yeah, so coming to Australia, I was working at different studios, and my Australia has always been really close to my heart because my aunt lived here 10 years ago, and so I actually came here with her twice when I was 13 and 16. So I couldn't wait to come back to Australia, but where it came about is that my best friend and I, we just decided all of our favorite musicians were in Australia, and we were like, let's go to Australia. And I just felt a huge calling here because at the time I felt really inspired to be working with men, to do suicide prevention work, and I had seen the statistics in Australia, and I felt like I'm supposed to go there and spread love, and I have no idea what's going to happen, but we're going to buy some plane tickets and we're going, because when you feel called to do something, whether you know the reason why or the answer, you should just go and do it,
Yeah.
because the unknown it can be terrifying, but there's so many opportunities when you just do it. Just go for it.
And
That's what we
how many people did you know in Australia at that time?
I knew one person that I had met because she came to Portland. She came to Portland, and that was right before I bought my plane ticket. And I met her. We just did this Zoom call for a couple times, and she said, "Come stay with me." And so we did. We stayed with her right when we got here.
So one
But
person, you only knew one person. You've come from Portland, America to Australia because you wanted
yeah,
to help people to prevent suicide. Suicide prevention was really strong in your mind to help people in Australia, but you knew no one. I mean, how much courage and resilience and confidence would it take for you to do that, especially from where you came from when you couldn't even stand up in front of a yoga class? I mean, it's just amazing, Kayla. Absolutely amazing.
thank you. Yeah, it completely changed. I went from afraid to ever speak in front of people to teaching. I don't even know how many classes at 3 different studios before I moved here. And the moment I moved here, I met the love of my life right away. So that's where we met, and we fell in love literally the first week that I moved here. And now we have a 10-month-old
Yeah,
baby, and
amazing,
we got
amazing.
married. So you just never know what your future can be, but if you just go for it and you live your life fully and you listen within, because each one of you have gifts. You all have a reason and a purpose why you're here, but each one of you also has all of the tools within yourself, so all the answers. So if you just go within, meditating, just listening to yourself, then you will be called the direction that you're supposed to be going.
And you've got to be open to that, don't you? That's what I've found in my life in relation to all the different things I've done really in the last 10 years with my charity work. And from that, it's just gone boom. And if I hadn't have done what I've done, yes, I would have had a good life, a productive life, but I've been able to meet extraordinary people doing extraordinary things such as yourself, not just in Victoria, Melbourne, Australia, but all over the world. And then I'm very lucky to be able to connect those people together because hopefully to make a better world for everyone.
Yes, we are so blessed to have you, Michael. You are the most incredible human, the most positive, just doing so many great things for people worldwide. I mean, just the moment I met Michael, I was like, wow, this guy is awesome. And the way that you connect everyone too, he really is a connector, connecting all of the awesome people together. So we're blessed to have
No, feelings mutual, Kayla, and we've run out of time on Magic Monday, but it means the good thing is because you've got so much more to talk about, we're going to have you back on at another stage. Would you like to come back at another stage?
you. Yes, yes, and I can share my website, and
Here
if anyone is needing any support right now or wondering more tools to help you with this, I have a website. It's just www.fearlesssunflowers.com, and my Instagram is also Fearless Sunflowers. So
And
you can just message me on there.
thank you, Kayla. So reach out. Kayla, as I said, the most positive human being I've been lucky enough to meet and be inspired by. And we thank you for your time this evening on Magic Monday. And as I said, we'll have you back on maybe 2 or 3 times, I think, because we've only scratched the surface. We only just got to Australia before time ran out. And you've got so much more to share and to offer and to help all of us during these times here with the new coronavirus challenges that we face. And it's a pleasure having Kayla McCord on.
We got this. We're going to get through this. You just got to visualize this new world and just visualize this future that's going to come, but we're going to be okay.
And
keep going.
And Kayla, you're enough. You are enough.
Yes, you are enough. And you are loved and you are worthy.
And Kayla's given us all some homework. We have to write down 3 affirmations or positive statements, and we have to say them to ourselves every day. So next time Kayla comes on,
look out the window, but go up, stay off your phone when you wake up in the morning, and try and go wake up with the world if you can.
So next time we have Kayla on, she'll be checking on our homework. So I better get off to it. I have to do it right now, I think, because otherwise Kayla's not going to be very happy with me. So make sure you do your homework.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, and thank you all for having me. It's been such a pleasure.
Now I'm going to sign off with some Urdu. I'm going to teach you some Urdu, Kayla. Shaba Shaba.
Shaba Shaba.
Mazikaru.
Magikaroo.
And this is an Australian farewell. Hooroo.
Hooroo.
Did that very well, Kayla. Michael Gallis, A1 TV, thanks for joining us. Have a great week. I can't wait to see you on Magic Monday, Healthy Living next week. We'll see you then.
Yes. See you then. Thank you so much.